Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? Just like clockwork, let me know if the sound is okay. Before I start talking and no one can hear a word I'm saying. How is it? I'll check it on my end too in case nobody... Okay. Sounds good on my end. What's going on, everyone? How is everybody feeling tonight? I appreciate you guys coming back and hanging out on a Friday evening, at least where I am. I know that differs to a lot of people out there based on where you're at in the world, and I already see some of the comment is coming in from the opposite side of the world as me, and I will get to those in a second. Also, I found this robe in my closet, and I forgot that I had bought it a while back with the big old Caspa logo right there on the chest, and I decided I was going to wear it tonight because I guess forgot how comfortable it is. And some of you guys might be asking or thinking, it's summertime. Isn't it hot where you're at? Why are you wearing a robe? And you would be correct. It is hot. But that's why air conditioning was invented. It's on full blast in my house, so I'm very comfortable in a robe right now. So, what are we going to talk about today? First things first is the ecosystem for Caspa is growing, and we'll get to that in a second. And as well as, I don't know if a lot of you guys caught my video, I believe it was yesterday, on Casplex launching their testnet, or about to launch their testnet for smart contracts, and the update on that as well. And we'll get into that in a second. Ryan, he says, hopefully I can catch this live stream. I hope you are here and you made it. The What Ups, welcome in. Complete, Master Chief, Poor Boy, Beck, Crypto Otis, welcome back. Cryptic Phoenix, Banana Republic, welcome in. I appreciate everybody joining, and feel free to comment. Leave your questions down in the comment section, and I will get to them at some point in the near future. Okay. So, first things first, let's take a look at the ecosystem here, and I'm going to open this up. Let me get this open and ready for you guys. Oh man, why is that so tiny? Maybe I should have done this beforehand, huh? And made sure all my boxes were the right size. But of course I didn't. Give me 1 second here. Let's move this out. Okay. Actually, what we can do, let's make this bigger here. So everybody can see it nice and clear. Why is that backwards? Why is that backwards on the screen? It's like it's mirrored on my screen for some reason, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I did not press any buttons to make that happen. But I guess we're going to deal with it because I don't know how to change that. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, hopefully for anybody who's not dyslexic, you are now. Shout out to Goonboy Crypto for posting this, and it's basically the ecosystem that's currently working on projects to build in the Caspa ecosystem. That's going to bother the absolute hell out of me that this is mirrored here. And so we've got a bunch of projects, right, that are currently working on projects in the Caspa ecosystem. Some of them we already know about here, and some of them, we haven't heard of. And so it's a nice little map, right? The smart contracts aren't even out and available to use yet, or technically to build yet, and the ecosystem is already growing and gaining some steam, it looks like. We've got the Caspa Industrial Initiative, the KII, which we've all heard about. Massive, massive, massive energy company over in Europe who has been looking for a blockchain to run their systems on for over 10 years now. And they have not been able to find anything until they stumbled across Caspa. And that was the deciding factor for them. They decided to use Caspa. And they have some big names and have been in the space for a very long time as far as the energy sector over there in Europe. And so it is extremely good to have them on board because they're going to bring a ton of, I guess you could say, stuff over to the Caspa ecosystem. And then real life use cases as well. So very excited about that. The infrastructure here, Sparkle, Casplex, and Casperbot, and then Eager Labs, layer 1 and 2, Casplex, the KII. Dexes, there's actually, so I was looking at this, Caspa.com, we know you can technically swap some things, buy and sell on there. Zealous Swap is another one that just announced, right? We went over that in some videos previously, where we'll be able to, they're launching on Eager Labs, I believe, and they're, I think, up with a test net right now where we can actually a practice, I guess you could say, learn how to use their system, as well as helping, facilitate swaps and testing the stress testing the network. And then I saw this one over here, which kind of got me excited for a second, and that is Candy Swap. And the reason that I like it is because of the name. The name is it doesn't seem like it should be, but the name has a lot of weight, whether it's going to be a good project or not, right? You need the user experience, the UX, and all of that kind of good stuff, right? Good tech behind it, but the name and the logo can set something apart from something else. And there is no logo on here, but I guess they missed out by using a K instead of a C here for Candy Swap. But then I looked it up, and apparently it's a game where this is also backwards. See, I got a new computer, and now everything, once I run something for the first time, it completely messes up, and I got to fix it by the next stream. So, go figure, right? Apparently it's a game called Board Candy City, and you can swap Caspa for Candy to play inside of this game. So that kind of deflated me a little bit because I was hoping it was going to be a legitimate swap, for Caspa. And maybe it still will be at some point, but right now it's just a little game that you can play, I guess. And you can use Caspa in order to swap it out. If you guys know anything more about that, let me know in the comment section. But I didn't really dive too deep into it. But it looks like just some little cell phone or online game. And then, there's some lending and DeFi stuff. Moonbound, I haven't heard of. They list Gold as a lending and DeFi. I would put that more into the meme coin section down here. Aggregator, C-Swap, the name service we know about, stablecoins, USDT is being bridged, as well as the native stablecoin that's going to be called Gigawatt, and that is being launched by the KII, I believe. And then, there's NFTs, there's meme coins, all the stuff that we know about. Launching pads, which is always good to launch out new projects. Moonbound, which is a good logo and name, by the way, that they have right here. So, anyways, Olive Chain, there's a bunch of stuff in here I haven't actually heard of before. So it's good to see that projects are starting to build. And then the next news here, if you guys can read backwards, is, or don't even look at the screen and just listen. My video yesterday, we talked about Casplex saying that they were going to very soon launch the testnet for their L2 or L1.5 built on top of Caspa, where we can stress test it. Developers can start building and kind of get an idea of what it's going to be like and make sure everything is, all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, all that kind of good stuff, and that it can handle the stress of a certain amount of usage at a time. Well, today, they have now officially launched the Layer 2 public testnet. So, it's a ZK EVM, a fully EVM-compatible based rollup built on the Caspa network, which, for those of you who don't know, that is huge, because Ethereum is obviously the biggest smart contract platform in the space, right? It's been around the longest. Solana, you can argue, is catching up and has technically more usage right now. But Ethereum was first, and it's still being used heavily, especially by the bigger folks in the space, okay? And what this is going to allow, the fact that it's EVM compatible, is we're going to, developers that are working on projects on Ethereum are going to be able to move over to Caspa pretty much seamlessly. There might be a little tweak here and there, but it's going to be very seamless and very comfortable for them to move over and build on top of Caspa if they so choose to do that, right? But it's just an option. We don't have our own coding language over here. It's going to be a mixture of a bunch of coding languages where developers who feel comfortable in one thing can use pretty much that coding language over on Caspa and feel comfortable. As well as it's going to be easy to integrate MetaMask wallet and a bunch of those wallets that Ethereum users already use. So Caspa is going to be able to be implemented into the MetaMask wallet very easily once these programs come on and they're EVM compatible. So no matter what you feel about Ethereum at this point in time, it is the OG, right, smart contract platform. It does still get use, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And it's very positive news that Caspa is going to be, EVM compatible. At least Casplex is, which is one platform that people are going to be able to build on when it comes to building on top of Caspa. Okay. So all in all, that very good news. And I'm going to turn this off now because it bothers me to look over at this screen and see it backwards. So we're going to get rid of the internet for now, and we're going to go into some comments. I want to know what you guys think. Are you excited about smart contracts? because they're in testnet, which means even on their post before that, they said imminent mainnet. So I don't know what exactly that means, but I know it means soon. Okay? They didn't give an exact date, but imminent is imminent, like very soon. So, all of this stuff is very good news in order for, layer ones to take us seriously, not layer ones, tier one exchanges to take us seriously, and just a lot of people in general. Smart contracts being implemented on top of a platform gives a project some respect and just makes it a little bit more palatable for people, right? Because there is the aspect of making money, basically, right? With gas fees and all that kind of stuff, which in turn usually adds greater value to the project when things can be built on top of it. And so that is basically what we got going on today. And so let me see if my pop-up comments on the screen are going to work today. Because if you guys remember last week, they were getting cut off. So we're going to start with a big one here. And we're going to see what happens. There it is. The full comment. The what ups. It's good to have you back, Cat Daddy. I've missed kicking it back at work on Friday night with green tea in hand, watching your live. Well, what ups? I feel honored that you would spend an hour watching me from work every single week on Friday. I appreciate you being here. Complete. Yo, from Cameroon. Way over on the other side of the world from me. I appreciate you being here, my man. And joining us for KASPA'S Happy Hour. Master Chief. Yeah, buddy, one of my favorite YouTubers right here. Much love from Boston and beyond. I appreciate you hanging out, and I appreciate you considering me as one of your favorite YouTubers. From Boston. What are you guys drinking today too, by the way? I know the What Ups is drinking green tea. Any of you guys drinking anything crazy on this Friday? Crypto Otis. Conan is up over 815% in the last 30 days. That's some big gains. It's an 8x. That's solid. If you bought the bottom of that, congratulations. For any of you guys who put $10,000 or more into Conan, congratulations. Just kidding. I would not recommend that. Although you would have done very well this time around. It's risky business. But Conan will probably succeed out of the KRC20s. It's one of like the top 5, I would consider. Crypto Phoenix, buy the dip. Yeah. Today actually is not looking very good. Man, I want to pull the internet up again. But it's going to be backwards again for you guys. That being said, what are we down today? It's like possibly even double-digit percents. I think it's the tariffs thing again, because it keeps getting brought up in the news of like, oh, you can, the Supreme Court is like saying you can't allow tariffs, and then they say, oh, now you can allow tariffs. And it's just like it keeps going back and forth. And the markets hate uncertainty. They absolutely hate it. So whether tariffs are going to be a thing or not, the markets need to know one way or another. And there needs to be like a line in the sand here at some point before things can, like, calm down. But go figure, it's going to be the tariffs thing up until Q4, watch. Where everything's going to go green and everything's going to get a green light and our bull run's going to continue. And all the people that sold are going to be crying their Caspa tears. Hold on, let me pull this up. I want to look and see I want to look and see what we actually are sitting at right now. Because I know we're having a red day for sure. My portfolio is down quite a bit today. Which also means your guys' portfolio is down quite a bit today. Because it's all in tandem. Unless you're holding Conan. And then you're up 800%. Savages. Okay, where's Caspa? Should I bring this onto screen, you guys? I don't want to piss anybody off by making backwards lettering all over the screen. But I'm going to anyways. Let's see if I can get this back and around here. Man, we are way off. Even I'm struggling to look at this thing. Where is it? It's all backwards for me, too. There it is. Look at that. Backwards Caspa. Yeah, we're down. Let me... I can't even read that. We're down 13% on the day. 14%. Oh, man, we just dumped like a whole nother cent from when I last looked. I wonder what's in the news right now. Clearly nothing good. But again, you guys, if we're of the belief, right, that we're going to have an altcoin season still in Q4, then, you know, buying right now is going to be looked back on like a power move, right? And everybody's going to call us lucky when we know that it was not luck and we had to suffer through a lot of crap while everybody was telling us we're idiots, right? So yeah, the market is crashing literally live on screen. Probably because I went live. The market crashes. Let's get rid of that. I'll have that fixed by next stream. I don't know why it's going backwards. Banana Republic, how and why is Conan up? Who knows? It's a meme coin. Who the hell knows? Also, what are your thoughts on KRC20s needing to actually physically migrate over to smart contracts, supposedly? So they don't need to. Some of them will, probably, because they want to be a legit smart contract instead of a inscription on the blockchain, okay? But some of them are going to stay where they're at, and they're going to be able to run parallel to smart contracts, right? They're just a softer, more simple version of a smart contract, if you want to get technical. And so KRC20 is still going to exist. It's just a matter of, you know, once real smart contracts do come about, which is very soon, are the KRC20s going to be looked at as the OGs on Caspa and be worth, you know, a lot, inscription-wise, or are they going to kind of fall by the wayside? We don't know yet. Or maybe they just run parallel with the other stuff as far as price goes. But some projects, I believe Nacho is actually migrating over, and I don't know what that means for the tokens yet. So we're going to have to figure that out when the time comes, because like the contract addresses and all that stuff might change. And so we might have to do something with our tokens potentially. Or maybe we don't. I don't know yet. But I'm sure they will let us know beforehand, because they don't want anybody losing their money. So keep that in mind. But the tokens that decide to stay just KRC20, there's nothing different about them. They're just going to exist as they do right now in parallel with the rest of the smart contracts. Mila, hello Caspians. One more challenging time. I guess we got used to it, yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some more downside until monetary policy changes. I'm telling you guys that. It's not going to be smooth sailing. It's not going to be up only until we finally get a decisive change in monetary policy. And as of right now, Jerome Powell is sitting on his hands and he's doing absolutely nothing. Even though I think this administration is trying to force his hand, and he's still saying no. So I don't know what the scenario is. I don't know when monetary policy is going to change. I don't know when quantitative tightening is going to stop and rates are going to start being cut again. Right now the betting odds are for September. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. Whether the crash that we're currently seeing right now is going to bring things down enough where Jerome Powell says, okay, we've had enough. We can start cutting rates now. Maybe it happens sooner. Okay? We don't know, but we're just going to have to wait it out because there's nothing we can really do. And if I were a betting man, right, everything looks scary. It's super annoying to keep waiting, right, because we're already in the post-halving year in early summer, and we haven't seen any sort of movement at all yet, right? And last cycle, we had seen movement by now. The 2017 cycle, we did not see movement yet. Okay, altcoins didn't start moving until November, I believe, of 2017. And the interesting thing about that is Donald Trump was the president in 2017 as well. And so maybe there's some similarities, and we see the same thing happen this cycle, right? Where we just get a really late push in Q4, we get our altcoin cycle, and then we all sell and we're happy. But we don't see much of anything up until then, and what that's going to do is basically push a lot of people out of the market because they're going to think that nothing's happening and they need to sell before we go into a bear market. And like I said, those people potentially are going to be crying their Caspa and crypto tears, once Q4 comes around. At least that's my thoughts on everything. I'm no macro expert by any means, but I'm just thinking every cycle seems to end up roughly the same, right? No matter how the road to get there is. So why is this time going to be different? Right? Maybe it will be. I don't know. But until I actually see something different, then I'm going to assume things are going to happen like they always happen. So let's just wait and see. Chirp, is that a Caspa robe? Yes, it is. I found it in my closet and I decided to wear it tonight because it's extremely comfortable and I have the AC on so I can bear it in the heat. I forgot I even owned this thing until a couple days ago when I saw it in the closet and I got excited. Paul Clinton, are you related to Bill by any chance? Just kidding. Back to early 11.23 price. Guess all the Moon Boy Caspa influencers stating last chance to buy Caspa were clickbait. Just like Cas to $5 is. Well, Paul, I for a while have said that, I don't know if you're talking about me included in those Moon Boy Caspa influencers, but I've said for a while now that we're not going to see anything sustained or sufficient until monetary policy changes. We might get some little pumps here and there. We'll get excited. But we're not going to see real price movement until monetary policy flips a 180 on us and the money printers come back on and quantitative easing is in full force. So, that is my take on everything. Mr. Miles, I'm excited about smart contracts, but we all should remember an ecosystem won't be built overnight. It'll take the better part of a year. And that is correct. So, obviously, you're not going to have a full-blown blooming ecosystem immediately. None of the projects really did, right? It's a gradual kind of step towards, a full-blown big ecosystem. Like when Solana first, you could also, say Ethereum as well, but I like to say Solana because Solana launched when there was already projects out with smart contracts, whereas Ethereum was the first one. But like a project like Solana, it did not have a big ecosystem to begin with, and it grew itself out and has become extremely dominant as far as its ecosystem and its meme coin ecosystem and, you name it. And so it didn't happen overnight. It probably happened over the course of a year, ish, roughly, if I were to take a guess. And, now it's been, multiple years to get to the point that it's at right now. So I would say by next cycle, we should have a vibrant ecosystem, providing everything goes as planned and, developers like coming over and building on Caspa and, they continue to increase the speed like they said they were going to. And everybody keeps, plowing forward like they say they're going to do. We should have a pretty solid ecosystem by next bull cycle for sure. Even once we have stable coins, it'll take years for apps and exchanges to code support it. Well, yeah. But I don't know enough about the technical side as far as a native stable coin goes, but we can bridge over USDT and USDC and some other stable coins to where there shouldn't need to be years for support before things can function properly. Just like any other chain, you can use those other stable coins, the big boys, right away, or you should be able to. Chirp, Bud Light per standard. And poor boy is drinking St. Arnold's Summer. Suki. Suckly. Sorry, I'm pretty sure I'd mispronounced that. Do you think Caspa will drop below 7 cents soon? Very possible. It's not gonna defy the rest of the market right now. I don't think. So if if Bitcoin falls, then the altcoins are going to fall and Caspa is going to fall with them. That's my opinion from here on out. It was an outlier last bear market because it was new and it had a super low market cap and it was getting some hype. As far as what it is and what it does and potentially, the whole next Bitcoin type of thing. And Ethereum had just gone proof of stake, and so there wasn't much to mine out there at all. And Caspa kind of jumped as the number one coin to mine after Ethereum went away, which is another reason why it got some hype, because the hash rate went up, which drove up the price. And so I don't think at this point in time it's going to defy the rest of the market like it did last bear market. It's going to follow suit, and, it's roughly going to probably fall. It might be a little bit less of a percentage than some of those other coins, especially meme coins will fall the most. But it'll follow the rest of the market. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin double bottoms or, has a significant pullback. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 5 or 6 cents again. Personally. I know nobody wants to hear that unless your bags aren't packed, and then you're thinking maybe that's a good idea. Short term. Beckett, bro, send in some love from Nacho Nation. Love your stuff, bro. Nacho Nation, do you work for the Nacho team? Or are you just a Nacho fan? Or are you talking about nachos, chips with cheese on it? Milo, what is the real incentive for projects to switch from ETH to Caspa chain? It's basically price. It's cheaper and it's more scalable, so they can build a lot more. They can be faster and cheaper, basically, without getting too technical. So, some might think that that's an advantage, but some might think that ETH, just because of what it is, it's more of an advantage to just stay over there. So it kind of just depends. It's probably going to depend on, project specific, and team behind the project specific on what they're trying to do, right? Because if you've got something that needs to be like for instance, let's take a project like Helium. Okay, it used to run on Ethereum. And as soon as Solana came about, Helium's a project that needs to use a lot of data, and it needs to be fast and scalable in order to do what they need to do on chain. And Solana fit the bill for them rather than Ethereum, because they could do a lot more with more speed, with more data, and scale it to the extent that they wanted to scale it. So they moved their project from Ethereum over to Solana, or maybe they had their own chain that wasn't scalable. I think Helium might have had their own. They might have been their own layer 1. I can't remember exactly what it was because it's been a number of years now. But either way, wherever they were, it was not scalable enough for them, and Solana was. So they moved their project over to Solana. So there's a chance that you get projects like that, right, that need more scalability and speed with cheaper fees, and they're going to potentially think that Caspa is a better suitable chain for them to build on. And then you'll have other projects that want to stay where they're at, right, which is fine. There's room for everybody. It's just a matter of what your goals are, I guess, as a team. Pro Baller Sugar Free. I have no idea what that is. But it sounds interesting. Sounds interesting. Paul, this is not your last chance to buy cheap Caspa. That's all I know for sure. It may not be. If they don't start cutting rates until September, then who knows what the market's going to look like between then and now. We'll have some upswings, we'll have some downswings, but we're definitely not going to see some sustained positive momentum until after that. Abraham, cheers from Charlotte. Drinking a cold brew, enjoying these low prices. May have to buy more if it hits 7 cents. Yeah, after this stream, I'm actually going to look at the prices and see what's going on. In more detail, obviously. And see if I might want to actually purchase something as well. 8.4 cents. Be more. Bought the dip. The big advantage of the KRC20, it's still going to run on the L1. That's true. And it's kind of like Bitcoin has its inscriptions. Caspa now, I mean, the KRC20 is their version of the inscriptions. And so there is value there because a lot of those Bitcoin inscriptions, were worth a lot of money, at least at one point. I imagine that'll come back at some point during this cycle. But yeah, they're built directly on the L1 rather than being built on an L2 or L1.5, like they want to call it. But the big thing about the L1.5 L2s is that the finalization of transactions is going to be settled on the base layer of Caspa, so the miners still get the fees, which is huge because if you guys have any knowledge about what Ethereum did, all of their L2s are like their own layer 1s basically, and their settlements are on their own chain, like Base and Arbitrum and Optimism. Optimism. All of those chains settle on their own chain. So Ethereum doesn't accrue any of that value at all. And that's one of the things they did very wrong, in my opinion. Paul, I've been seeing thumbnails on Cast Moonboys for nearly the past 2 years. Last chance, it's happening. It has begun. Binance is about to list this week. It's imminent. Yeah. Let's be honest, though. YouTube titles are all clickbait. Because that's how they get people to watch the video. I try and keep mine as less clickbaity as possible. But there is still some clickbait titles that I have, clearly. But that being said, once you actually watch the video, it's pretty low-key and logical, in my opinion, rather than telling you that Caspa is going to go to $15 in the next 4 months, which I guess could happen. I would love for that to happen. I just don't know that it will. Unless something crazy happens, like Michael Saylor or, something that we don't see coming happens where he's like, I am half in 50-50 Bitcoin and Caspa now. I have seen the light. And that might drive up the price drastically. Something crazy like that. But the chances of Michael Saylor, putting any other, coin in the box inside of his head other than Bitcoin is probably pretty slim. Anyone has memes on KRC20 but everyone has memes on KRC20, but has anyone bought utility plays yet? Check out blocks next time you have a chance. I didn't know there was really any utility plays on KRC20 at this point. All I see is meme coins, which, is cool to an extent, but you got to have utility plays as well. Otherwise, you're kind of just like pumped up fun. for the most part. I'll take a look at blocks though. I haven't looked at it. If no cut till mid-September, then maybe cast 20 cents, not till October. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, unless we get wind. I mean, there's a potential that they cut rates before that, right? If the market breaks, and it currently looks like we're breaking again. I don't know what Bitcoin's sitting at right now, but that's obviously the barometer. 104. See, Bitcoin hasn't dropped very much, but altcoins are tanking. Or is it only Caspa? Where is it? Maybe we just, that's over the last hour. So yeah, over the last 24, altcoins, a lot of altcoins are down double digits, and Bitcoin's barely moved. So that's just the part of the cycle, Bitcoin dominance, right? If Bitcoin goes down a little bit, altcoins are going to tank. And if Bitcoin goes up a lot, altcoins will go up a little bit. They tank harder and they pump lighter at this point in the cycle. And we just have to live through it. Yeah, because Bitcoin's only down 1.5%. It's still over $100,000. So just imagine if it drops below $100,000, the altcoins are going to get crushed. But again, like I've said this before, and other people say this as well. It makes sense. In order for the Fed to cut rates, there has to be sickness in the market, right? So unless something breaks, the Fed is going to be perfectly fine just keeping rates where they are, right? And continue with quantitative tightening. So we need downward action in the markets in order for because that means something's broken, and the Fed then has a reason to cut rates. So as much as we don't like seeing the red in the market a lot of times, it's at this point in the cycle, it needs to happen for the Fed to actually react. And so it's technically a good thing, right? We get a little bit cheaper prices, and if the markets can force the Fed to cut rates earlier, then maybe, things turn around quicker. And all in all, that's a net positive for us, right? But to answer your question, if they don't cut until mid-September, I doubt we see Caspa at its all-time high of 20 cents. Yeah, until roughly October. And it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Because if we get wind and, we're getting closer to mid-September and it's like a 99% chance they're cutting rates, then the bottom might already be in and things have already started going up. Right? Because things are going in the right direction at that point. A lot of times we'll hit a bottom, slightly before the rates actually start to change. So it kind of just depends on how sure people are, how sure Powell is that he's going to cut rates in September or whatever date he's going to cut them. And then we might see a bottom beforehand and already be on our way up by the time that meeting happens and the rates actually get cut. Cornelius, my goal is to get a like from someone in the comments section. I like Caspa and Nocha, not Nacho. My goal is to get a like from someone in the comment section. Well, you heard Cornelius, you guys. Like his comment. No, you are not a moon boy or clickbaiter. You are rare in the space. Well, I appreciate that. I try to make my thumbnails as clickbaity as possible without sounding ridiculous. And then be pretty mild-mannered and logical in the actual video itself. Because, I mean, let's be honest, I'll say it again. We're not going to see any sufficient price movement that's going to sustain until monetary policy changes. And I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Math. This is a good question. Can you show us how to test Caspa network or Casplex network? And I will as soon as I figure it out. I actually messaged them on X to see if they can let me know how, because I don't really know how to do that yet. There's got to be some sort of... You might be able to go... Yeah, I don't know. Let's just leave it at that. There's got to be some sort of interface where you can connect a wallet in a testnet mode, and then they'll give you tokens in a faucet, which are Caspa tokens, but they're fake, just to play around with and test the network. But I don't know where that is yet, so when I hear back from them, I will definitely let you guys know. Caspa's number 2. It will be one day, I think. Not this cycle. I'm pretty sure it will not be at number 2 this cycle. It's not passing up Ethereum or Solana this time around. Let it age like fine wine, and then it will slowly work its way up to the number 2 spot. Do you know Kachi? Do you think it will be in the top 10? Yeah, you talking about the top 10 is... I'm assuming Kachi is a KRC20? And I'm assuming top 10 KRC20s? Because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt it's not going to be top 10 in the whole crypto market. As far as KRC20s, it's possible, I guess. I haven't looked at it. Especially when Nacho leaves the KRC20 space. That opens up the number 1 spot for someone else. Stellar Caspa will rise during the bear market in 26 to 28, and then Mars next bull market. So obviously I'm not bearish on Caspa, but my take is that it is not going to outperform and go counter to the rest of the market this bear market, this next bear market. It only did that because it was brand new. It had a super low market cap, and there was a lot of hype from mining it because Ethereum went away. And the vast majority of altcoins that outperform in their first bear market do not outperform in their next bear market. Chainlink is a good example of that. And I'm not comparing the two projects side by side. I'm just saying that typically when there's a project that outperforms in its first cycle in the bear market, it does not do that the next bear market. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But I don't think that that's going to be the case, which is why, as much as I love Caspa and as much as I think that Caspa is going to do very, very big and good things in the future, I would take some profits on it this cycle. Because of the small chance that it goes by the wayside, you want to make sure that you at least took some profits and feel good about yourself, okay? And The other part of that is that it will fall in the bear market. I'm almost 100% sure about that this time around. And you're going to be able to buy it at lower prices again. It's going to fall. It's not going to outperform. If Bitcoin falls 85% or 80%, Caspa's not going to fall 30% in the bear market, right? That's just not going to happen. It's going to fall at least 80 or 85% like Bitcoin. But it's considered still an altcoin, right? And I would imagine that it's going to fall more than Bitcoin, just like the rest of the altcoin market will. And then maybe once it hits its bottom, it outperforms, but it's still going to fall. It's not going to just keep going up forever. That's not how the crypto market works. So that's why I cannot stress enough. I mean, you guys can do whatever you want, right? I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, or micromanage you guys by any means. But I would at least take some profits. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't have to be a whole lot if you want to hold some Caspa through the bear market, but I would take some profits if it was me. Unless you just don't care, you're doing fine, you want to hold your whole bag, and you're okay if for some reason it went to zero, you would be okay with yourself. Then by all means hold it through. I don't think it's going to zero, by the way. I think it's definitely a multi-cycle coin, but I don't see any reason to not take profits and then just buy it at the bottom of the bear market again. With a bigger chunk of money, because you're going to be selling Caspa for, a lot more money than you bought it for. Did you ever find the answer on whether or not we can store Nacho NFTs on Tangem, or where we could safely store them? Tangem does not. Technically, they say that you can transfer them over there, but you just can't see them yet. I don't know if I would trust that. Okay, I would leave them in the wallet that you bought them in, whether it be Casware. I think you can see the NFTs in your wallet. Whatever wallet you bought them in, I would just leave them in there for now. And don't, for transactions, you have to sign things. Just don't sign any weird transactions and open up your wallet to the chance of being hacked in the meantime. They are working on it from what I understand, though. So at some point, you'll be able to store them there and see them. Tangem, Visa, Caspa. You talking about the Tangem Pay and Visa? I'm stoked about that, if it even comes to the USA. Fire Dancer on Solana. Yeah, I've been hearing about that for a while. It's supposed to make it super fast, but it's still going to be centralized. I don't know if it's going to make it faster than Caspa at its current stage, and I doubt that it's going to be faster than Caspa at its 100 blocks per second speed. But nonetheless, if they've been talking about this for so long, though, that I don't know exactly what it entails, to be honest with you. All I know is it's supposed to increase the speed of Solana by a lot. But apparently it's taking a while to do, because I've been hearing about it for at least 2 years. And I'm assuming it hasn't gone live yet. Good time to buy more nacho? Yeah. My nacho bag's full. I'm not going to go super heavy into it, so I'm not buying any more. But For anybody, I mean, it looks like things are down quite a bit today. There might be more downside, though, so today is definitely not the worst day to buy. We'll say that. The Caspa team is not posted on X since May 5th. That's not good. Well, I don't know whether that's good or not, but I don't think the Caspa team necessarily needs to be posting. Bitcoin doesn't have a team who posts every day on Twitter, X. They don't have a team, period. So it's just word of mouth and believers that market the thing for them. And that's kind of what Caspa's trying to do, right? And so I don't know that we need Yonatan or Michael Sutton, or definitely not Shy, to be crazy active on X in order for things to move in a positive direction. As long as they're working on what they say they're going to be working on, that's all we need. And then they'll give updates periodically, when, things are happening, I guess. But we don't need, like, daily blogs from them, in my opinion. Yeah, we are all part of the Caspa team. I agree with that. But that's what it's trying to do. Like, it's a decentralized, nobody owns or, is able to control any one part of it. It's just completely out there in the ether. And just like Bitcoin, the community is the marketing team for Caspa. And sometimes that takes longer to succeed, right, than a big marketing team like, Solana or Sui or all those other layer ones out there. But, like I always say, the cream will always rise to the top. Bitcoin is cream. In my opinion, Caspa is cream. And everything else is just hype in the short term. If you want to be around for the long term, then you've got to do things a certain way. And I think that Bitcoin is the one you want to look at for how to maintain that, right? And Caspa is about as close as you can get to that. Paul, on his most recent stream, CG said $1 CAS within 2 months, but he also said $1 by December 24. Yeah, last September. That's because he's just guessing. And like I've said, we're not going to see $1 Caspa in this monetary macro environment. It's just not going to happen. This is Bitcoin time. Altcoins will come, but we need monetary policy to change so that Bitcoin can get its final blow off top, and then all of that money trickles down into the altcoins. And that's not going to happen until macro environment's better. So it's basically just him guessing. But, eventually he's going to be right if he keeps saying $1 by this date, $1 by this date. He'll be wrong 45 times and he'll be right once, and everybody will crown him the king when he's finally right. Seems to be the way things happen. Because you've had guys calling for altcoin season for how long now? And you've had spurts of, certain meme coins, but like collectively the altcoins have not done well. They haven't done their true altcoin season. You've had little tiny spikes here and there compared to what we're going to see. And people have been calling for that for 2 years now. And they've been pretty much wrong for the most part every single time. But eventually they're going to be right, and then their followers are going to be like, oh my God, he's so smart. He called alt season right. The 40th time around. It's the way it works in crypto. You just need to be right once. CAS isn't just a multi-cycle coin, it's the in-game. It could be. It could be. The only, as it sits right now, I would 100% agree with you. The only thing is we can't predict the future, right? So look how fast AI has, like within 3 years or less, gone from what it was to what it is now, right? Technology moves so fast that, there's a chance, right? Like I said, we cannot predict the future, that something better comes around. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'd also be fooling ourselves if we thought that it couldn't happen, right? And planning for both scenarios, right? That's what a smart investor does. As of right now, though, and like I said, I don't think next cycle we're going to see anything that comes close. Maybe a couple cycles or 2 or 3 cycles out, something better comes out. But then again, Caspa is also going to be advancing during that time too. So maybe it truly is the end game, and there isn't anything out there that can compete in the future, right? Maybe that's what we see. But I'm not going to completely rule out the fact that technology is extremely fast moving, and there could at some point be something that, and even if that is the case, right, has better tech or whatever it might be, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, Caspa might be ingrained, right? So ingrained in the space, just like Bitcoin is now, that it won't even matter. So that's also a scenario that could happen. It's just we've got to always look at both sides. You can't just say, factually, this is going to happen for the rest of our lives, because we really don't know. Even if it's 15, 20, 30 years down the road, right? And it's not the immediate future, we just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, think about what AI is going to look like in 10 years based on how far it's come in the last 2 years. We could be sitting in some crazy scenario of a world if things continue to move, as fast as they're moving right now. So we just don't know what the world's going to look like. And it seems like technology is moving crazy fast right now. So we'll see. But I do agree with you, like in the short term and through next cycle at least, the Caspa is definitely going to be, ingrained as what we would consider the end game of crypto. And I will believe that until I see something else that looks like it could become the end game. And right now there's nothing. My man from I can never pronounce this right. Bogota? I just butchered that. But I know where it is. I just can't pronounce it. I appreciate you coming back, my man. And I'm glad you got on the stream. I think you usually don't make these streams, right? Probably got something else going on during this time. Or maybe you're sleeping. I don't know what time it is over in Colombia, if you still live there. Or maybe you told me you lived in Australia now, but from Colombia. I vaguely remember. Stella, you look like a union mechanic that flips diesel trucks. Well, Stella, I am not a diesel mechanic. I would not be able to tell you the first thing about automobiles. But I am not a union, but I am a plumber. part-time now. I've been doing that for, I don't know if that falls into the same category as a diesel truck mechanic, but I guess you both work with your hands and it's somewhat dirty work. So if nothing else, that is the similarities. I think that's the second time I said similarities. Floater. Hey, KDK, thoughts on the Forbes article about Caspa? So I have not read this article. I have seen the title of the article, and I didn't necessarily like the fact that they... what was the title? It was... I don't want to get it wrong. Hold on. Yeah, so the title was the Israeli answer to scaling Bitcoin. Now, the fact that Forbes is mentioning Caspa and the fact that it states that it's the answer to scaling Bitcoin is probably super positive. But they said Israeli. I understand why they said it because the team is technically from there, but Caspa is not an Israeli coin. It's like Bitcoin. It doesn't have a home, right? It's everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. But it gets labeled Israeli because of where the Yonatan and I don't think Sutton's from there, but a couple other guys are. Maybe Shy. So I don't like that part necessarily. I still haven't read the article, though I'll read it and I can give my feedback later. But, you know, other than that part, and I think the only reason the Israeli thing is even an issue potentially is because of all of that heated arguments, you know, between them and, is it the Palestinians? Somewhere over there. So yeah, let's just say the fact that they're announcing it and saying it's the potential answer to scaling Bitcoin is positive. Let's just go that route. Whether they want to call it Israeli or not. Cas is falling to 43 on 43 spot on CMC, going to be 7 cents shortly. Is it falling still? Man, am I tanking the price of Caspa by going live on stream? Shame on me. My God. Oh, yeah, I mean, we're almost hitting that 7.9 cent mark. Unfortunately. But like I said, we need another correction, you guys, in order for the Fed to pivot. So maybe this is the start of that, and let's think positively during the whole things, because we need some sickness, we need some more pain in the market before they will decisively say something's wrong. We need to pivot and cut rates now. Forbes doesn't want Hamas owning Caspa. Nobody owns Caspa. It's funny, though. That's a possibility, yeah. But I'm not going to get into that whole thing. To me, Caspa doesn't have a country. I was wondering if Caspa will get to the top at the same time as Bitcoin, because Litecoin top at the same time. So I don't know if we are in the same category. And the other altcoin top in January. So we don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Nobody's going to be able to tell you for sure when Caspa is going to top. It could be before Bitcoin, it could be right with Bitcoin, it could be after. And that is, I guess, one of the hardest parts about trying to catch altcoin tops is because you don't really know when they're going to top. So you've just got to, like I say, be on your toes. But like, if we're sitting in like October, November, and Caspa's at $2, maybe you want to take some off the table, right? If you're going to take profits, and maybe leave a little bit there just in case we go higher. Like it's all going to be a play it by ear type thing. And altcoins may not top in January either. They may top in December. They may top in November. They may go up in, into January, early January. We don't know yet. So it's one of those things where if we could predict that and we knew exactly the date, then we'd all be rich as hell right now. And there would be no stress at all for any of us, right? We just have to continue to buy, and if we knew the exact date to sell on, then we would just hit that sell button on that date. But unfortunately, we don't really know. We do have a specific time window that we think things are going to top in. So at least we have a little bit of a window here where we can at least say it's probably going to happen during this time. So all right, guys, we're just over an hour, so I'm going to take off for the night. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I appreciate you guys all being here. Have a good night for those of you that's nighttime. Have a good day for those of you who are in, day or morning time. And continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. I love you all. See you in the next video.